A very good afternoon to all the students and a warm welcome to one and all present today for the online lecture of second year BCom semester 3 for the subject management. Now, students, you have been attending the lectures of management and you are aware that we have been discussing the second unit that talks on the recent techniques in human resource management. We have discussed all the above topics that you can see, such as techniques, such as employee for lease, moonlighting by the employees, the dual career groups, flexi time and flexi work, and thereby we have been discussing all about the quality management, that is to say the total quality management. We have discussed the concept of TQM. We have also discussed and revised the different advantages of total quality management, and thereby in the previous lecture I also explained you the history of quality management as to from where did it emerged and how now it has become a part of almost every organization worldwide. So we shall be revising the history of quality management once again, and thereby the focus for today's lecture shall be to understand all the seven principles of quality management. So today we are going to discuss on the topic all about the principles of quality management. So students, we have been discussing TQM. I won't be going much in detail because we have already studied and revised the same in the previous few lectures. I had explained you the concept of total quality management as to what did total quality and management stand for. To sum up, I can say that it was a continuous effort being made for the improvisation of the quality, not by a single person, but by everybody who is involved in the organization. Everybody had to be made quality conscious, and thereby the customers' needs were considered and their needs were satisfied too. We discussed the different advantages of total quality management. We have discussed how the needs of the market of the customers were identified and they were satisfied. We also understood how everybody had to be involved in the organization to work for quality improvement, how the unproductive activities were removed, wastage was reduced, competition was understood by understanding the needs and the preferences of the customers, how communication had to take place within the organization, and how continuous improvement took place. It was not a one time show, it was not a quick fix, but it was a never ending improvement that had to be focused on. And then, students, in the previous lecture, we discussed all about the history of total quality management. I very well showed you that how the term TQM was first coined by the Naval Air Systems Command, which was describing the Japanese style of management as to how quality can be improvised. I had talked about how TQM originated from Japan and the Japanese companies. Also, there were a number of total quality management techniques that were initiated therein, but now you see implemented it worldwide. So, to explain you the history, I had taken you back to the First World War, where there was huge scale manufacturing taking place, but because there was poor quality of the goods that were manufactured, the quality management concept was brought into consideration, where quality inspectors were appointed, and thereby the quality of the products was inspected and improvised. So we had seen how production was taking place in huge amount, but as the quality products were not produced, it was important to appoint the quality inspectors for inspection of the quality. We discussed how the father of statistical process control, who was then working at Bell Labs, introduced the concept of SQC, that was statistical quality control, whereby a sampling method was introduced to test the quality. Over here, the sample was to be tested, which could represent the quality of the entire batch or the entire production. So we had studied all about that as well. but it was during World War II where actually quality management became much more familiar, because it was during that time where poor quality products were produced, especially in Japan, and it was a need to produce huge production, especially for the defense oriented goods. And it was during that time when the Japanese companies and engineers had invited William Edwards Deming to help them in how manage and improvise the quality, and thereby he gave his principles for quality management, also described us with the PDCA cycle, that was plan, do, check and act. So thereby, up till 1950, quality control became an integral part of all the Japanese manufacturing activities, and thereby it was understood how it has to be adopted at all the levels by every worker in the organization. We discussed how it was widely discussed in 1970, and thereby 1980 and onwards it became quite familiar and popular among all the companies throughout the world as well. So I hope that you got understood with the history of total quality management, how quality management came up, and thereafter how TQM emerged as a concept worldwide. Students, now we shall be discussing the next topic for today, that is going to be the principles of quality management. This is the topic that we shall be studying today, and as you can see, it talks about the 7 different principles of quality management. We are going to study each and every principle today in detail. To just name them, it is all about customer focus, leadership, engagement of the people, process approach, evidence based decision making, and improvement. So, these are all the different principles that we are going to talk about today. So, students, the first one that you see is all about customer focus. Now, I have also explained you earlier while explaining you the concept of TQM that it mainly focuses on the needs and the expectations of the customers. One has to understand what the customers require, what are their needs and preferences, and thereby one has to work for the satisfaction of the same. Necessary changes have to be brought about in the goods or the services that are offered, maybe in terms of quantity, maybe in terms of quality, or even the price. And by bringing about those modifications or innovations, the customers tend to remain satisfied. They tend to remain loyal towards the company. That is how the company can actually survive in this competitive environment. So, students, the first one you see is about focusing on customer and its needs. So, as you see, the primary focus of quality management is to meet customer requirements and thereby strive to exceed customer expectations. Their needs have to be understood, and thereby it also has to be satisfied. Sustained success is achieved when an organization attracts and retains the confidence of customers and the other interested parties. We discussed this earlier also. When you keep your customers satisfied, they are going to influence 10 more customers who shall become loyal towards your company. But if the customers are not satisfied, they can very well influence others not to even purchase your product as well. So customers have to be thought about. Every aspect of customer interaction provides an opportunity to create more value for the customer. So their current and future needs have to be understood, and thereby you could contribute towards the success of the organization. So I can say the first and the foremost principle of quality management is to focus on the customer, their needs, their aspirations, and thereby provide them with such goods and services that keep them satisfied. So when we say one has to be customer focused, there has to be some benefits of the same as well. So definitely when you are customer focused, it would increase the customer value. It would definitely keep them satisfied. So there is increased customer satisfaction. With more satisfaction comes the brand loyalty that customers will have towards you. Increased customer loyalty, as I said, they are going to be loyal and faithful towards your company and your products or services, and thereby buying only from you. Enhanced repeat business, they are going to give you more business. When a customer is satisfied, he will not purchase only once, but then he would remain loyal towards the same and would purchase every time from you only. When the customers are satisfied, the demand of product goes high. Ultimately, even the organization's reputation, or I can say the prestige, tends to rise. It would also enhance the customer's base. That is to say, the more customers would be attracted towards your company. And lastly, when your customers are satisfied, they are demanding more of your products, your revenue and your market share is bound to increase. Your products are sold more, your profitability increases, and your share in the market also tends to rise. Basically, it all starts with the customer. Keep them satisfied, and your organization will enjoy the success and the prosperity. So I hope that you understood with the first principle of total quality management. I give you some time, have a look at the entire principle. All right, so then comes your second principle of quality management. As I said, we need to study 7 principles. Number 2 talks about leadership. Now, here we are not talking about leading the customers. We are talking about how a manager can lead the employees in the organization. The employees have to be led in such a manner that all have a unity of purpose. There has to be a unity of objective. They should be working towards the same objective only. If they are working for achievement of a particular target in the organization, they have to be united towards them. Every employee engaged, every employee putting their efforts only for achieving that particular objective. Over here, the main objective shall be improvising on the quality. So there should be everybody focused towards that. That sort of leadership has to be provided. So the leaders at all the levels would establish the unity of purpose and direction, thereby would create such conditions in which people are engaged in achieving the organization's quality of objective. When I say unity of purpose and direction, everybody is focused towards one purpose or going towards one direction, because that is only when you can enable the people to align towards the strategies, policies, processes, maybe resources as well to achieve the given objectives. Everybody aligned towards one direction. Because when employees themselves are moving in different directions, ultimately the goals are not going to be achieved. So, what could be the benefits about the same? It would increase the effectiveness and the efficiency in meeting the organization's quality objectives. So, definitely the quality will be improvised when everybody works towards it. As I mentioned earlier, also, quality is not the responsibility of a single employee. Everybody at every level of organization is quality conscious. When everybody becomes conscious towards the quality of the work they are performing, ultimately the final activity has to be defect proof or error proof. Thereby, when they all are united towards one purpose or goal, it will result into better coordination of organization's process. There is not going to be any sort of duplication or overlapping of work. It would increase the communication between the levels and the functions. And lastly, would also develop and improve the capability of organization, thereby helping people to deliver the desired results. Because once the people know the direction, they can work towards the achievement of the same. But in case they do not know the direction, it would be just like blindly moving towards the destination. That is not good for any organization. So, with good leadership, it gives them direction as to where to go and what to achieve. So, have a look at the second principle as well, talking about the leadership. So, students, you have understood the customer focus and you understood with leadership. Coming to the third one, It talks about engagement of people. Now we are talking about the people, the employees working in the organization. In Unit 1 also we did a topic, namely employees engagement, where I very well explained you that employees should be engaged in the work that they are performing. Such an environment is to be provided to the employees that everybody stays connected with the organization. They are moving their efforts for achieving the organization's goals. When they are engaged, the more they are engaged, the more efforts they will put, the more efforts will be put with motivation and enthusiasm. So, competent, empowered, and engaged people at all the levels through the organization are essential to enhance its capability to create and deliver the value. To manage an organization effectively and efficiently, it is important to involve all the people at all the levels and respect them. You need to give them some kind of recognition. You need to develop them. You need to involve everybody. You can also ask them for their opinions, and thereby you feel that they all are engaged towards the work that they are performing, because enhancement of competence facilitates the engagement of people in achieving the organization's quality objectives. The more they will be engaged, the more better the work can be performed. Again, there are some benefits of good engagement of people. Number one would be improved understanding of organizations' quality objectives by people and increased motivation to achieve them. It would be good understanding of objectives. They are going to work with full motivation and enthusiasm because they are appreciated, they are recognized, they are praised for the work. They would be working with more engagement. There would be enhanced involvement of people in improvement activity. They would be involved towards the work they are performing. Enhanced personal development initiatives and creativity. So their personal development would take place. They would take more initiative in performing the work and thereby would also work with creativity. Enhanced people satisfaction. When workers are recognized, when workers are singled out for appreciation and praise, they would be more satisfied. When your workforce is satisfied, they would definitely help you reap more benefits. Enhanced trust and collaboration. So they would be more trustworthy. They could trust the organization and thereby would work with more collaboration and coordination. Increased attention to share values and culture. So there would be increased attention where they would be sharing their values and thereby implementing the company culture as well. So I hope you understood the first three principles we have discussed, namely customer focus. Thereby we understood about leadership, and thirdly we understood about how employees can be engaged. Number 4, we are going to talk about the process approach. Now, what does the process approach talk about? It tells us that every part in an organization is connected to each other. It is linked with each other. You need to understand everything as a whole process, a cohesive unit, so as to help achieve quality objective for overall organization. When you work for improvement of quality at every level, at every aspect, at every process of production, it is only then can you achieve a final product which is of the best quality. So you need to even adopt the process approach over here. Consistent and predictable results are achieved more effectively and efficiently when activities are understood and managed as interrelated processes that functions as a coherent system. One needs to understand that everybody who is performing any task in the organization is linked with each other. Think about a situation where production department is moving towards one direction, marketing is moving towards another, human resource department moving in some other direction, and so goes the finance. The final outcome will completely be haywire. So we want every particular aspect, every particular people to be working as if they are a coherent system. So the benefits of such an approach would be that there would be enhanced ability to focus the effort on key processes and opportunities for improvement. Definitely it will result into much more improvement. Consistent and predictable outcomes through a system aligned approach. optimized performance through effective process management and efficient use of resources. So there would be even better utilization of resource. There would be no wastage or no duplication of activity. And lastly, it would enable the organization to provide confidence to the interested parties as to the consistency, effectiveness, and efficiency. Now, with interested parties, we mean the external parties, could be the customers, the suppliers, could also be the maybe the government or any other external factor that is external to the organization, could also be a shareholder, that is to say, all the different stakeholders of an organization. Number 5, the principle talks about improvement. Now, this is very well understood to you that entire concept of TQM focuses on continuous improvement of quality. We are talking about improvement of quality at every level by every individual in the organization, and also to be done continuously. We have mentioned earlier that it is not a quick fix or it is not a one-time show. We are not working towards improvement only for a specified time period. It is a continuous process. So successful organizations have an ongoing focus on improvement, which is essential to maintain the current level of performance, to react to the changes, its internal and external conditions, and to create new opportunities. So you need to work towards improvement to maintain the current level of performance and thereby even go ahead. The benefits arising could be improved process performance, organizational capabilities, and customer satisfaction. This is very well clear. Then when you provide good quality products and services, definitely your customers remain more satisfied, thereby enhancing your performance as a whole. Enhanced focus on the root cause investigation and determination. So you would be able to focus on the root cause and thereby determining the same. Enhanced ability to anticipate and react to the internal and the external risks and opportunities. You would be able to understand the opportunities available, the risks that you have to possibly focus on, and thereby you could enhance your ability to face the same. Enhanced consideration of both incremental and breakthrough improvement. That is to say, you don't only require continuous improvement, but you would also require to see the breakthrough improvement. That is to say, any sort of improvement taking place in the middle of the path. Even that has to be recognized. Improved use of learning for improvement. So you are going to learn more and more while improvising. And lastly, enhanced drive for innovation. You would try and innovate more, create new modifications, and thereby resulting into continuous improvement of your products. So have a look at the 5th principle as well. You have been understanding about number 1, customer focus, number 2, leadership, number 3, employee engagement, number 4, process approach, and now number 5, you have also studied about the principle of improvement. So students, now we are moving towards the last 2 principles of quality management. Number 6, it is the evidence-based decision making. Now I hope you are aware about evidence. When I say evidence, we are talking about some sort of reliable and accurate information and data or analysis based on which decisions have to be taken. When decisions are taken based on a reliable data, some sort of evidence, some piece of information that is accurate and reliable, definitely your decisions prove to be correct in the long run. But when the decisions are just taken as a dream or a guesswork, definitely it won't be always correct. So total quality management also focuses on the principle of taking decisions which are based on some reliable evidence, some reliable data, and not just taken haywire. So decisions based on the analysis and evaluation of data and information are more likely to produce the desired results. Definitely when you take some sort of decision that is based on data, it would at least be more towards accuracy and would not require any sort of corrections. Decision making, as we know, is a complex process, and definitely it would have some sort of uncertainty, because when you are deciding, you are considering future, and that is quite uncertain. It often involves multiple types and sources of inputs, as well as their interpretation, which can be subjective. When you are not basing your decisions on some reliable data, it would always be a subjective decision that you have taken and not something quite rational. So it is important to understand the cause and effect relationship and the potential unintended consequences. You need to understand the causal relationship, that is to say, what is the cause and what effect will it have. The facts, evidence, and data analysis leads to greater objectivity and confidence in decision making. So it would definitely result into much more objectivity. The decisions taken would be much more rational, you can say. Rather than being subjective, it would be much more objective, and you would definitely have more confidence in the decisions that you have taken based on some reliable data, because then you are at least assured about the accuracy and the correctness of the decisions. So what are the benefits of having such a decision making? It will result into improved decision making that we have already seen. You can assess the performance, and you would also be able to achieve objectives in a better manner. The efficiency and the effectiveness would be increased. You would be able to review, challenge, and even change the opinions. When you take decisions based on a reliable data, it is more flexible, and the rigidity aspect gets avoided. Would also increase the ability to demonstrate the effectiveness of past decisions. You could also let yourself know whether your past decisions were effective. If not, based on that, you can make some sort of corrections, take some remedial measures for the current decisions as well. So I hope that you understood with the benefits about the sixth principle as well, that is to say, evidence based decision making. Students, we come to the last principle of quality management that talks about relationship management. Now, here we are talking about managing relations with the stakeholders, with the internal as well as the external parties who are interested in your organization. Could be a shareholder, an investor who is willing to invest money in your business, could be the supplier who is supplying you the necessary raw materials, could be the customers, definitely, could be a creditor also. So you need to manage good relationships with them as well. So for sustained success, an organization manages its relationships with interested parties, for example, a supplier who can influence the performance of the organization. We all know how far they are important for an organization. So you need to manage good relations with them as well, so that they would be affecting the performance of the organization in a better manner, in an effective manner. So what are the benefits? It is enhanced performance of organization and its interested parties. So definitely the performance aspect would be quite improved, both of the organization as well as of these parties. Common understanding of the goals, values among the interested parties, both the organization as well as the parties would be working towards a common goal, a common objective. Increased capability to create value for the interested parties, sharing resources and competence for managing the quality related risk. So they would help you increase your capability. It would increase the value for the related parties. Thereby, you would be managing the quality aspect as well. And lastly, when you have good relations with them, definitely it will be a well managed supply chain providing a stable flow of goods and services. For example, if you have maintained good relations with suppliers, definitely they would give you a good supply of all the raw materials needed by you, and thereby it would not cause any delay in the production of final product as well. So this was all, students, for today. We have understood with the different principles of quality management. Have a look once again at all the different principles we have seen. Number 7 was relationship management. Number 6 was evidence-based decision making. Number 5 was continuous improvement of the quality. Number 4 talked about the process approach. Number 3, engagement of people. Number 2, leadership, that is to have unity of purpose and direction. And the first one, extremely important, to be customer focused, to consider the needs of the customers, meet with their expectations, and thereby always keep them satisfied. So I hope that you very well understood with all the different principles of quality management. In case you have any doubts pertaining to any topic, feel free to ask them in the Google Classroom of your respective class, and I shall be more than happy to answer them at the earliest. Do start reading for your assignments and quiz to be taken soon. I have already shared with you the notes of Unit 1, so start preparing for the same. See you soon in the next lecture where we would go ahead with the topic of total quality management. Thank you so much for the day, and until then, happy learning.